Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Monday, August 17, year of our Lord 2026. My Cordaro Jewelers watch says it's 9:12 and change. Broadcasting today from the United States of America, the greatest country ever. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, having lost them this year, and we do so thanks to John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Cornelius, Connie Minzola, Hazelton, Asa, Ace, Scott, Einan, and Michael Anthony, Scranton. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, irreplaceable, and profoundly wise founding fathers who knew that government should not be and set out to be to make sure they never would be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things, because they knew that government power means less freedom, less liberty, less choice. They also knew that government power, because of human nature, would be abused. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared by law to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, even if they use it to lie. You know why? Because we're free to ignore it. We really are. Now, because they were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, these Americans, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, many of them rejects from around the world, they and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And yes, that double entendre is intended. And so, we gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, immovable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. And aren't they all? A gentle warning, this is not a safe harbor for stupidity. Such nonsense will be roundly and, dare I say, harshly attacked throughout the program. We will not suffer fools gladly, and their foolishness and ignorance, willful or otherwise, will be called out with intent, purpose, and vigor, designed, and in these times sadly necessary, to save our great American republic from evil, senselessness, and weakness, which can even now bring down this noble 250-year successful experiment. Well, guys, great to be with you. Bob Cordaro back on the program. I hope you got a good weekend. I had a great weekend. I'm trying to remember what the heck I did with the weekend. Cutie's she's gonna have to text me or something because I don't remember. I know this. I think we stayed home on Sunday. By the way, I heard on the morning show there was it was National Black Cat Appreciation Day. I've got a black cat, Ponth, 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 and he's a pretty good little guy. Anyway, and except his life is tortured by Chauncey, the big bull mastiff. I don't remember what I did Friday. It might come to me later, but Saturday, as Cutie would say, I met my parents for dinner over at Sibio's. My buddy Dave was there. And it was great. It really was. There's a lot of nice people at Sibio's. It's just a good crowd. By the way, and speaking of Sibio's, Monday night's the big night. Monday night's the big night at Sibio's because they're one of the few fine dining restaurants that's open on Monday. So they get a great gang on Monday as well. But that was outstanding. And then my high school friends, we were called the Franks Boys because, you know, this pre-cell phone days, you had to have some place to hang around. And some of us started off at Pagnotti's Pharmacy. And I don't remember if it closed or whatever, but then we merged with another group. And there was about 15 of us. And we were the Franks Boys, so named by, I guess, others. But you went to places. It's a funny thing thinking back now because there was no cell phones. You couldn't group text. You just had to go someplace at a general time, and then you went from there. And our place was Frank's on Electric Street in Dunmore. So the Franks Boy Originals, some wives, some widows, sadly, and others got together and we had a great night after Sibio's. Yeah, good night. And then yesterday, Cutie and I we thought it was going to be a rainier day. I actually was able to take the Bulldog out a couple times, the Bull Mastiff. But we just hung around the house. Now, this is what I wanted to get to. I'm trying to well, you'll remind me. You got to text me. Because I watched movies over the weekend. Movies and shows. Now, my friend Mike Palucci had told me about a show called The Offer. And The Offer is the story of the making of The Godfather. Now, I think they unfairly cut Russell Buffalino, our local guy, mafia guy, out of the picture. They just did. Because he was that low-key. He was that smart about things as a general rule. But it's a series. I think 8 episodes of the making of The Godfather. It's unbelievable. It is awesome. If you ever get to watch the series, The Offer, watch it. And then one of you great people, and I apologize for blanking on it at this moment, said, watch Pressure. This is the World War II D-Day movie. And it was tremendous. And I, I'm watching it by myself, with Chauncey. And I'm telling you, as they said on the movie Scrooge, Niagara Falls. I was overwhelmed watching our men. It is one of the best D-Day scenes. It's right up there with Private Ryan, right up there with The Longest Day, showing what our soldiers faced on D-Day when they actually arrived. I mean, the concept is about the weather. Great movie. And I'm telling you, I was literally emotionally overwhelmed thinking how great these American patriots were. And I'm talking about the grunts on the ground. I'm not talking about the generals and everybody else. They were fine. I'm watching the movie. I said, damn if I'll let these scumbags take this country away. Damn if I'll let them do it. Whatever I can do with this little radio show, I'm going to do. I re-resolved watching Pressure. And, I was in, you think I get in a lather on the show. Oh, my gosh. It was emotionally overwhelming. And then Cutie and I watched a nice movie. I forget when. Maybe that was Friday night. We watched the Michael Jackson movie, which is pretty good. It is pretty good. And he's got so much great music. So anyway, I've gone over. But I'm telling you, do not forget our veterans. And peacetime, wartime, it does not matter. It truly does not. but watching what they faced for us, that's only one major battle in the entire World War II. It doesn't count World War I. It doesn't count Vietnam. It doesn't count Korea. It doesn't count the Middle East, Afghanistan. It doesn't count any of that. And they were all there for us. And I said, what little, tiny, tiny, minuscule part I could do to save this country, I will renew my efforts on Monday. So thank you for letting, I can't remember who it is. It's one of you. It might have been a Navy guy, but I'm not sure. Please remind me by text that it was you that told me to watch Pressure. Because, man, as good as the movie was, appreciating these men, and in particular, but men and women, who faced life and death and died for us. Unbelievable. What a great country. We'll be back. Elvis. Murph tells us, and by the way, he joined us at Sean Dempsey's house for the Frank's Boy party Friday night. He is a Frank's boy, of course. And after he got done at Ragnacci's. But so it was great to see him. This date, 1963, Elvis, Murph tells us, moved up to number 3 with his hit, You're the Devil in Disguise. And 1943, this date, the Allied conquest of Sicily during World War II completed as the U.S. and British forces enter Messina. And that famous scene in the movie Patton where Patton's waiting for Monty when it happens. Oh, Lord. So Brett from Shikshini texted in. Now, I've heard of this movie. I'm going to have to watch it. But Brett, you're going to have to remind me towards the weekend. Because fortunately or unfortunately, I have to watch cable TV and scour the internet from the moment I get home. I won't get to watch it. But Ricky Schroeder in the movie Lost Battalion. And Brett from Shikshini says, I believe it's a true story. Tom from Dallas texts in. He said, the Democrat Party is a cult. There are no normal Democrats left because anybody normal wouldn't be a Democrat right now. Today's Democrats have to believe in open borders, amnesty for all. They have to embrace the communist Democrats that are rising in their own party, and they all kneel at the altar to identity politics and abortion up to birth. Tom, you're 100% correct. Now, the thing we have to remember is that inertia is the most powerful force in the universe, meaning that which is. And people don't change easily. It requires effort that most people won't put forth. Now, voting Democrat is certainly cultish. You're not paying any attention. Because John Fetterman, for example, and he votes with the Democrats 90% of the time, so I don't, he's not getting any profiles encouraged from me. However, he has called the Democrat Party out, and for that, he will be crucified by the people who control the Democrat Party. And there's the proof in the pudding. They are a cult, and if you say something reasonable, you're thrown out of the cult. And they're throwing them out. An old gal from Mountaintop said she mentioned pressure last week. Yep. Thank you, old gal. Appreciate it very much. Bob, watch Ike, a much better movie than Pressure. Brendan Fraser ruined the movie. It seemed miscast to me. I agree. But the movie was very good. But the emotion behind it and the bravery it depicted on the Normandy invasion blew me away. Absolutely blew me away like I didn't expect. But Ike might be a better movie. Yeah, the idea was good, but the acting of Fraser was a cringe. Somebody else texting, and we need this strength again. I'm 76 years old, but I will defend my country to the end. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Thank you. If this is all we have to do, ladies and gentlemen. All we have to do is vote against insanity. And it's for your own benefit on top of helping the damn country. That's all we need to do. Please remember that. Somebody else pointing out Eisenhower's speech before the landing was outstanding. And also all brought tears to my eyes, inspiration to my soul. It really did. Bob, yesterday was the day Elvis died. Keep playing his music. I don't think we have any more Elvis today, but Yeah, he died on the toilet in Memphis. Yeah, at his place. Poor Elvis. A tortured soul, but a great artist. And I'm telling you, a great guy. Somebody says, I'm a Scranton Democrat and don't believe in any of that stuff and never voted for Mayor Page and never will. All right. I accept that. I'm satisfied with it. All right. 9:33. We'll take a break. We want to hear from our great sponsors. We have a veterans tribute. We have the weather. We have Tina Morocco. And we've got, as I always say, but I deliver, and more. We'll be back on the Bob Cordaro Show. Our veterans tribute. This day as with every day, and this hour as with every hour. Brought to you by our man John Basiliga. And today and Mondays, we pay tribute to his first company, his biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems. The premier roofing contractor in the eastern United States. Headquartered in Jessup, but they've got substantial hubs in Baltimore, Maryland, and Columbia, South Carolina. Eastern Roofing Systems, because they're headquartered here, they bring all that expertise, all that buying power home to you and your project right here within this listening area and even to your home. How incredible is that? Eastern Roofing Systems. Cornelius Connie Menzola. We lost him August 6th. Battle with lung cancer. Loving husband, father, grandfather, and brother. Born in Hazleton. Tragically preceded in death by his son, Jamie. Survived by his wife for 57 years, Margaret Beechline Menzola. Together, they raised 5 sons, 4 of whom survive him. In addition, his grandchildren and a great-grandson. Connie served in the U.S. Navy 1965 to 1968, and during this time, he served 3 tours in Vietnam. He was a proud Vietnam veteran. Connie loved listening to music, favorite band OAR, and the legendary Jimi Hendrix. He loved spending time outdoors, hunting, one of his things, baseball, which he played, softball. He also enjoyed coaching Little League and Babe Ruth. He was a devoted sports fan. Celtics, Notre Dame, New York Giants. Member of the Heights Gun Club and the Tresckow Hosey. He'll be remembered for the many passions he enjoyed and the friendships he cherished. He was buried privately at Fort Indiantown Gap Memorial Cemetery. A beautiful cemetery for true veterans. Connie Menzola, our great veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain Resort, which features an incredible arcade in the lodge, but also a great water park, a relaxing water park, a fun water park. And they bring you the forecast from AccuWeather. Today, mostly cloudy, warmer, a thunder shower in parts of the area. Areas of morning fog will reduce visibility, high 83. Tonight, fog late, low of 65. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, less humid, high 85, low 59. Wednesday, humid with sun, followed by some clouds. It'll be 85 degrees. Thursday, sun and some clouds with a thunder shower, high 80, low 56. Friday, pleasant with intervals of clouds and sunshine, high 82, low 59. And that means another great water park week at Montage, where it's 71 degrees right now. Well, on a cloudy, overcast day, well, we got to wait for my favorite part, Bulldog. Yeah. On a cloudy, overcast day in Northeast Pennsylvania, we think Tina Morocco, Global Sales Advisor at Sotheby's International, Naples, Florida. You can reach her at Sotheby's in Naples or TinaMorocco.com, MURACCO. She's the best, and I'm telling you, people I know that have used her, listeners that have used her, are ecstatic about their experience. And I mean it. They truly are. But that's Tina Morocco, your trusted advisor for Florida real estate specializing in Southwest Florida. And here she is. Hi, Tina.
Hey, Bob.
Talk to me. What do you got?
Oh my gosh. Well, I thought we'd dream a little today.
Okay.
Let's talk about one of the most beautiful communities in Naples, and this community is called Talus Park. It's in North Naples, and it is completely inspired by Tuscany. And when I say
Chalice
that,
Park? What is it called?
Talus, Talis,
Okay.
Talus
Okay.
Park. Yeah. So it's a golf community, but when you pull into this community, you go to the guardhouse, and there's these enormous gates. They look like gates that would be on a castle. And there's these cypress trees and jasmine everywhere, and the guard lets you in. And the strange part about this community is it looks like you're in Tuscany. In Florida, in most of the communities, everything is flat. In Talus Park, they designed it so it's all of these rolling hills. So as you're driving, winding around the roads into the community, you pass by all these orchards, and they're grapefruit and lemons and oranges. And it's stunning.
Yowza.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, so you get in, and there's all of these fountains and waterfalls and bridges throughout the community. And the community's designed so that it's around like a little village. And so in the village, there's the golf clubhouse, there's restaurants, there's the spa, there's meeting centers, there's this giant lawn where they have events and, concerts and everything. And then there's another part of the community that's considered the park. And those have homes that overlook the golf course. So there's like the park and the village. And this community is like unlike any other. Every time I take somebody in there, they're just stunned. They're like, "Are we in Italy?"
Now, that sounds pricey. So give us the price range.
That's why we're dreaming today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
no, it is a very pricey community. It's one of the premier golf course communities in Florida, I would say. It's a Greg Norman Pete Dye championship golf course.
Wow.
So that tells you right there. I think there's only one other golf course that has the two of them that designed it. And it's just, they keep it up so well. They just did another golf course total renovation in 2023. And I'm not a golfer, but everything that they're doing there sounds absolutely unbelievable. The houses there, they have, it's everything from condos, smaller condos. When I say smaller, it's like, 1,500 square feet condos to large estate homes that are, 12 or 13,000 square feet. So price points there range from, just under $1 million, like around 800,000 for the condos, up to, probably 15 million for the estate homes. It's in North Naples, right on the edge of Bonita. There's everything you can imagine there. Like I said, restaurants, there's a spa, fitness center, tennis, pickleball, bocce. They have a shuttle to the beach that drops you off at Vanderbilt Beach with towels, refreshments, chairs. You know what I mean? It's just one of those luxury communities that everything that you could want is there. So it's something to see. And if you want to Google it, the architecture there and the landscaping is absolutely stunning.
Love it.
Very, very Italian inspired.
Well,
yeah.
something to aspire for. Talus Park, is that what it's called?
Talus, yes, Talis, Talus Park in Naples.
That's worth looking up. That's worth looking
Definitely.
up. Oh,
Definitely.
Tina. Well, yeah, you know what? I'm inspired. So if I could get the bulldog off his butt, maybe I can make some more money and get down there.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you so much, Tina. Always
Absolutely,
a pleasure. We look forward to talking to you later in the week.
Definitely. Take care.
All right. Tina Morocco, Muracco. You can reach her at Sotheby's International Realty in Naples, Florida, or go direct. Tina Morocco, Muracco.com. We'll be right back. Alan Sherman moved from number 17 to 7, Murph tells us, with his great song, Hello Mutta, Hello Fada. This day, 1963. Murph tells us. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. Let's go right to the blower. We got Bob from Dunmore. Thanks for your patience, Bob. How are you?
Not bad, Bob. Bob, I have a two-part thing here. These data centers, you know. Okay, first of all, my niece lives 2 miles away from Washington, D.C., and last year they raised their water rate 13%, and last week they raised it another 13%. Okay, that's out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what I want to know. There's 80% of the people are against the data centers. But they just keep on building and they keep on bulldozing and cutting and burning. Like, I thought when the people said they don't want something, you know, it's like a kid. You tell a kid he can't have a lollipop, and he takes it anyhow. Like, there's something wrong with the rule.
Well, Bob, being fair, there's zoning already in place. And most, if not all, of these data centers, which I'm neither for nor against, I do think the people against them, like the Billy Gahans and others like that, who lie about everything, are also lying about data centers. But that's a separate issue. Well, it's part of the issue. But if there's zoning in place that allows an industrial activity, that is an industrial activity. And if you own the land and you put up the money, well, that's your right to do it.
Yeah, but what doesn't the 80% of the people have nothing to say?
Well, they had something to say when they put their zoning and regulations in place.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And by the way, if you let the people en masse make these kinds of decisions, well, I don't know, you'd have chaos. and by the way, many of them are being misinformed by people like Commissioner Gahan about what the impacts of these are. I had somebody on Thursday, and he was telling us they're responsible, if you do it right, they're responsible for their own water, they're responsible for their own power, so they should not affect either water or electrical rates. So,
well, my niece, I talked to her yesterday.
And she thinks it's because of the
water rate went up 13% again this year, and she said she's lived there all her life,
mm-hmm.
and she's in Virginia, and she said they made a mess out of the countryside, and she's really fed up with them. But it's a shame that 80% of the people don't want something, and they get it.
And they get it anyway. Well, again, under proper regulation, and I'm not big on regulation, but in this case, they've got to provide for their own water or clean their own water. They've got to have their own circulation, and that's for the cooling purposes. And they also have to provide their own power. And they're finding in cases like in Texas, this is interesting, people's power rates are going down because there's excess power. If it's done right, it can work and not be interfering. So it depends how you do it.
our PP&L here, they put the electric bill up already. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
I know. Oh, I'm not a fan.
Hey, Bob.
I'm not a fan, Bob. I'm not at all.
Thanks.
But you know what? It's like if they're properly regulated, and then you verify that they're following the rules, they can be, I guess, good neighbors and good taxpayers. I might add.
Yeah, well, we have no game land left. We have no hunting. You know, that marshwood and up to Mount Cobb, they bulldozing and there's not a tree standing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a shame, Bob.
Some bad things. There's no doubt about it, and some of them aren't going to get built, even though they think they are.
Yeah, good.
You know? Yeah. All right, Bob. Thank you, my man. Appreciate it. All right. I just looked up. It's 10 o'clock. I got to get to Larry, but I can't before the news. Now it's 10:01 on my Picardo's watch. Let's do the news. We will come back. We've got our man, John Perillo. He's back with Monday Musings. We'll take a break and talk to you soon. You know it does, baby, and we're fighting it right here. Great good morning, everyone. 10:08 a.m. on my Picardo Jewelers watch, where, by the way, coming up soon is the great car show at Picardo Jewelers. Watch, anyway, it tells me it's 10:08. And it is also Monday, August 17th, here in the great Northeast, as well as some other places. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his Great Eastern Roofing Systems, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John, like Cornelius Connie Minzola, Hazelton, Ace Merritt Scott, he was from Einan, and Michael Anthony of Scranton. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment. This meeting, today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising all of you that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary sanity to all of you who hearken here. And we remind you, as we welcome you to the Bob Cordaro Show's second hour, it is, this show, your proven cure for idiocy. Okay? We can cure you of any idiocy, latent or overt. We can. I promise you. Give us a couple weeks, you'll start to get it. So, somebody's saying you choosing no side on the data center issue is a cop-out. No, I'm choosing the side of logic. If it's a good project and does not interfere with communities, I have no problem with it. If it interferes with communities or houses or electric or water rates, I'm against it. That's all. Somebody else texted in on the same subject. Bob LTS, in reference to your last caller, 80% of us don't want mail-in ballots and want the Save America Act, and we're not getting that one either. Yeah, I guess touche. Bob LTS, if people aren't noticing, these rates have gone up before the first day of centers even built. And both of these messages from Frank on the pipeline. Somebody else, Tom from Dallas. Not just somebody else. The D.C. water bills are going up because they're trying to fund massive necessary infrastructure upgrades, including federally mandated river cleanup projects, lead pipe replacements, and aging sewer system repairs. Yep. Music Man had texted in. He said, let's see, he says, Bob, amazing how Cognetti comes out with all the look what I've done political messages as we near the midterms. Meanwhile, what about all the do nothing previous years? I don't know what she's done yet. I have no idea. Well, it's Monday. And I'm going to talk about Anthony Fauci later. I've got to get to this. But it's Monday. And that means Monday musings. And that means John Perillo. And here he is, our man, John Perillo. How are you, John?
I'm good, Bob. How are you?
I sent you, I don't know if you saw it, I sent you the 10 reasons to live in Colorado from the, what was that? Was it from Babylon Bee? I don't know if you got to it yet.
Yeah, no, I did. And it's funny because those are the only good ones, right? So I love the Bee. However, those people are brilliant.
Aren't they?
They're just amazing. Yeah. But today I did want to talk about something that, after the primary in Michigan, where we advanced an openly socialist, openly anti-Semitic, openly anti-constitutional candidate for Senate. I messaged a friend of mine who lives there, who's Jewish, by the way, and I asked him, what did it feel like to finally have to support the Republican Party? He's pretty liberal. And his response was that he wasn't certain that he would.
Oh, my God.
And while I wanted to
oh, my God.
Hang on. And while I want to dismiss that as an emotional response, if we're serious about our future as a conservative movement, and more importantly, as a nation, I think it's very important to try to understand his position, which is not, by the way, the same thing as agreeing with it, and to understand just how divided we are and how we got that way.
Get him mental help. If he doesn't get help for his mental illness, then just don't be his friend anymore.
Okay.
Just say hi.
Okay. This is a longtime friend of mine, so let's treat him with some respect, right?
Ugh,
I'm gonna suggest that after you listen to Bob's show, you find someone to listen to whom you disagree with and force yourself to understand their point of view. Now, that does not mean you need to agree with it, but you should learn to understand it.
Well, we have that on either end of the program on the radio.
Right.
Here on WILK.
Right. And that was one of the things I used to do with my children at dinner table, right? I'd have them argue the point that they disagree with. It was just a mental exercise. Anyway, there was an article by a guy named Jim Garrity, a very conservative guy, that presented some ideas I wanted to explore. And he starts out by saying, quote, "We are destined to have two parties whose grassroots largely detest the elected officials of the other party, which is a short step to hating the other party, which is a short step to hating the country when it doesn't vote for candidates that you want," end quote. And I think he's right, and I think that should worry all of us. That's because if you hate Trump and you hate Republicans, then voting for the likes of Abdul al-Sayed and some of the other Democratic candidates has a certain logic. But that said, there is no Republican presidential candidate that has any chance of being elected who wouldn't be greatly disturbing to most Democrats. And I can think of very few Democrats who could be elected president who would be acceptable to Republicans. And what that means is that both sides, the most committed people of either party, will hate. The word hate, by the way, was one that my father would not permit us to use in his hearing, by the way, the elected president of another party. So Trump's favorable ratings among Democrats is something like -70 when he got elected, and now it's -92, which essentially means that virtually every Democrat disapproves of his performance. Biden's approval rating ended about where Trump's is now. But I don't think we can just shrug and say, oh, well, that's just the way it is. Reagan's approval rating among Democrats was between 20 and 40% through his entire presidency. And Clinton's was between 14 and 40% among Republicans. And the only Democrat who has any approval among Republicans nationally right now is out your way. And Bob pointed this out last hour. Senator Fetterman is a pretty liberal, conventional liberal guy. But, oh, by the way, his support now is almost only among Republicans. Something less than 20% of Pennsylvania Democrats support him. So Garrity makes this interesting point that even if the Democratic ticket was something like Bashir Fetterman, which is about a moderate pair of Democrats as you could get, it would be hard to imagine any right-leaning news organization saying something like, we could live with that. Just as if the Republican ticket was headed by Marco Rubio, who's a very measured, reasonable conservative, you would not likely hear any liberal news outlet admit that he's a solid candidate. And the issue for us is, as Garrity points out, if there's no candidate from either side that's remotely acceptable to the other side, then it isn't a big leap to hating not just the candidate, but far more importantly, the people that voted for him. And we are either a basket of deplorables or bitter clingers, if we want to coin the phrase, or as President Trump once said, I hate my opponents. I don't want what's best for them, end quote. Right? And I know it's all quaint that my Catholic father wouldn't use the word hate, but he had a point. Words have meaning, and we should use them carefully, right? Garrity points out that when you hate the electorate that voted for a president of either party, I'd add, your love of your country by definition has to decline. And we certainly see that in polling about how people feel about the country. And to my liberal friends, they believe that our country displayed, at best, horrible judgment by voting for Trump. And in that same poll, Garrity quotes as something like 40% of Kamala Harris voters said it was acceptable to cut off a family member over political disagreements. And nearly half of all young progressives say it's reasonable to sever friendships. Right? Something like 11% of Donald Trump voters say the same thing, end quote. Right? Either way, we have people who are cutting off contact with friends and even family over who they voted for. And now, because it's Monday Musings, some philosophy is coming. But in a world where politics is more important than your family, that's a dangerous place. And I'd argue that as we diminish the role of religion, then politics replaces it, because our human nature makes us crave meaning. And our Judeo-Christian tradition teaches us to be humble because we aren't God and therefore don't possess the wisdom to judge anyone. But if there is no God, then our willingness to be judgmental increases, and we are no longer simply disagreeing with our political opponents. We are good and they are evil. And in the absence of religion, politics becomes religion. And defining your opponent as evil makes him less human, and that's the beginning of some really horrible possibilities, right? A brief look at history to say nothing current events, by the way, should be enough to prove that point. We now argue in a framework of entertainment and emotion rather than a framework of objective truth, which I appreciate that Bob tries to do often, right? And in fairness, the move to destroy objective truth hasn't made this any easier. So last week I told you why I'll never support a socialist. I don't hate the people who are looking for another way, who feel that the current system doesn't work for them. But as a student of history and philosophy, we know that, as Richard Weaver once wrote, ideas have consequences. The mere existence of certain ideas has consequences. And all of this brings me back to my Jewish friend in Michigan, who will have to choose between voting for Mike Rogers, who's a member of a party which my friend feels has enabled all kinds of bad things and is against his not entirely traditional family, and Abdullah Sayed, who's openly anti-Semitic. And that he can't answer that easily does not make him crazy and should concern all of us. Look, I look at Mr. Sayed saying of Hassan Piker's comment that, quote, America deserved 9/11, and that quote was taken out of context, and immediately wonder, in what context would the comment America deserved 9/11 be okay? Right? We will be told that pointing that out, what Mr. Sayed said, is somehow Islamophobic. And if Mr. Sayed gets elected, how can he recite the oath of office which pledges to support and defend the Constitution of the United States if he wants to eliminate the Senate? And again, I'll quote this so I don't mess it up. Replace the president and the Supreme Court with an executive and a judiciary chosen by and subordinate to Congress, end quote. Right? That's anti-constitutional. How do you swear allegiance to the Constitution when you want to do something that's anti-constitutional? And the worst news is that we can't even view these ideas as fringe anymore. The reason why I harp on the ideas that the founders studied and thought and wrote about is because we now have, as Dan McLaughlin noted, people like Pete Buttigieg, the very embodiment of the Democratic establishment. You know, he's Harvard, Oxford, he's a veteran, he's former McKinsey, he's white collar, who's on board with a lot of the Democratic Socialists of America style constitutional overhaul. And he's not even one of the radicals. And he came out for getting rid of the Electoral College, changing proportional representation in the House, packing the Supreme Court, and, quote, reforming, tuning up, and changing the political system, end quote. So back to my friend. I don't agree with him, but no offense to anyone here, even as I support some of what this administration is doing, I happen to find Mr. Trump to be uniquely distasteful, and I'll bow to my father's rhetorical wishes here. And I voted for him 3 times, by the way. And against that, I'd point out that the Democrats aren't offering up some kind of constitutional reset to a pre-imperialist presidency either. They're all offering to rip up the Constitution. And they believe in part, I think, because they believe that any constitution that allows Trump to be president twice must be a failure. Either that or the people supporting this administration are, in fact, deplorable. And those of us who are conservatives need to understand that that position is now held by something like 40% of the population. And you can't just call them all crazy or hate them all without there being very serious implications as to how we exist together as a society. No matter what side you're on, if you so hate your political opponents that you're willing to lose your family over it, my advice to you has nothing to do with politics, is that you look at your priorities and reorder them. And hopefully I'll see you at church on Sunday, right? Look, I'm certainly not telling you that we should vote Democrat, and I'm not telling you that the conservative movement is wrong. But I am telling you that we need to be mindful about how we look at those people with whom we disagree, or some very bad things are going to happen. We need to stop calling the Republican candidates, who happen to think just like Ronald Reagan did, oh, by the way, rhinos. Right? Because as Aristotle told us way back from when we started Monday Musings, politics is the art of the possible. And if we embrace maximalism at every turn and refuse any compromise, then the other side does the same. There isn't anything left but conflict. And folks, let me tell you, I've been deployed to parts of the world where that's the norm, tribe against tribe, hatred for hatred. And trust me, there's nothing romantic or glorious in living that way. You don't want any part of that, right? So again, I'm not saying that we should embrace democratic ideas. I'm not saying that we should support democratic socialists. I'm saying that we need to debate and we need to be open-minded and we need to try to understand those with whom we disagree and then make those arguments as best as I can see Bob doing on his show here. Right?
John, and at the same time, get your friend in Michigan some psychological help.
Oh, stop, Bob. He's my
he
friend.
doesn't. He's lost. But just by being a left-winger, he's lost the ability to think.
Well, we gotta.
I mean, there is an objective right and wrong that
I get
history
that,
shows us. And by the way,
but
I say this, and I was with some Democrats over the weekend, high school buddies of mine. They'll vote Democrat till they die. But I just say this: talk about cherry pie.
Were we talking about the music Cherry Pie, the band, or we talking about
just
cherry
pie itself, because it's a subject that I think we could all embrace.
All right. Well, he's a barbecue guy, so we'll agree on barbecue, right? But you can't. I just want to argue that point just a little bit. You can't write off 40% of the population. You can't do that.
I'm not writing them off. I'm trying to bring them around, but I know that they are wrong objectively in whom they vote for and blindly vote for. I know that.
Right.
It's not. I'm not guessing it. It's not a speculative thing. It's not even a subjective thing anymore. Because one thing that you leave out of your analysis is that the Democrat Party has gone so lunatic left at warp speed, even from the time of Obama. Certainly from the time of Bill Clinton, who I always liked. I just didn't vote for him. They've gone so far lunatic left, particularly starting in the Biden administration, and they're even getting worse, that there is no redeeming quality to their ideas. There just isn't.
And I think you can make that argument, right? So look at Hassan Piker, right? The guy who
insane,
who's
evil,
right?
evil.
And the guy who said that we deserve 9/11. The guy, his parents immigrate from Egypt. He's wealthy. He goes to prep schools. He plays lacrosse and polo, and now he wants to tell you that somehow wealth is evil, right? Okay, but that's the argument we need to make, right? The very person who is telling you how evil wealth is lived a privileged life, and now he wants to tell you that somehow you wanting to spend money on your kids is wrong.
I sent to people a clip from him explaining how it's okay for him to own a $3 million house. I mean, it's absurdity taken to beyond an extreme.
Right. Let's make that argument, right? Bernie Sanders, right? No more millionaires and billionaires because he can't complain about billionaires. Right, so
the hypocrisy is it's incorporated. I know, no, I'm on the side of the concept you're talking about, but just talk about something else. I'm not saying don't be friends with them, but there's nothing to talk about. It was like when Biden was in office, and you'd say, well, how about those 13 kids that got killed in Afghanistan? During the withdrawal, and they start with a but, and I said, don't waste your time talking politics with them anymore. Just be done.
Okay, and we'll put the band back together, and we'll do some cherry pie just for
Exactly. Just put it in your mind. They're off limits. They're gone, and they may come back on their own. But I'm not talking politics with them anymore. That's all.
Thank you, Bob, again for loaning me your audience. I hope you guys have a great week. I really do enjoy my time with you.
Always a pleasure.
All right, you take care.
Thanks, John. 10:26. We'll take a break. We'll be back with the Veterans Tribute. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day, as with every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And on Mondays, we feature his first company, his biggest company, Eastern Roofing System. He is a roofer at heart. Eastern Roofing Systems, headquartered in Jessup, PA, with major business hubs in Baltimore, Maryland, and Columbia, South Carolina. And guess what? If you're within the sound of my voice, Eastern Roofing Systems, they'll even come and do your house. They'll use all that expertise, all that buying power for your project right here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Asa Ace Scott. We lost him August 2nd. He was from Einan. He was living at the Geno Murley Veterans Center. He was 94 years old. Born in Peckville, graduate of Blakely High School and the Johnson School of Technology. A proud combat veteran, serving 2 tours of duty in the Korean War. He married the love of his life, Mildred Cookie Kane, and together they shared a loving marriage for 66 years. Ace was a man of great faith and a lifetime member of the Knights of Columbus. He was very proud to be a knight, and he held many titles in the organization. He was a loyal employee of Sugarman's, where he was a manager for 45 years. Ace was an avid hunter, always looking forward to the first day of deer season. He loved nice cars, dancing with his wife, spoiling his grandchildren, and spending time with family and friends. He's survived by his daughters, his 6 grandchildren, his 7 great-grandchildren, a sister and 2 brothers. Preceded in death, sadly, by his wife, Cookie Scott, a brother and 2 sisters. And his family wanted to gratefully thank the Geno Murley Veterans Center for the love, kindness, and exceptional care and respect he received there. Asa Scott, our great veteran this hour, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and the Eastern Roofing Systems. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the gang at Montage Mountain, where the water park is in full swing and another great water park week. Get up there. You'll love it. Today, mostly cloudy, warmer with a thunder shower in parts of the area, high of 83. Tonight, fog late, low 65. Tomorrow, Tuesday, mostly sunny and less humid, high 85, low 59. Wednesday, humid with sun followed by some clouds, high 85, low 63. Thursday, sun and some clouds with a thunder shower, high 80, low 56. And then Friday, pleasant with intervals of clouds and sunshine, high 82, low 59. And that's your weather, brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain Water Park, who tell you it is another great water park week, and it's 72 degrees right now at Montage. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Murph tells us this date, 1965, recorded their hit Going to a Go-Go at the Hitsville Studios, Detroit, Michigan. Bob Cordaro back, and that's Brendan Gill. I love him. Congressman from Texas. Absolutely love him. I just started following him on Instagram, so you'll be hearing more of him. By the way, a live stream of this program, you go to YouTube, WILK, Bob Cordaro Show, and Roach Supply is bringing it to us. Roach Supply is the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. 75 years in business. 96-year-old Ron Roach making it happen still. Visit roachsupply.com today, ROCHE, or visit their stores in Honesdale or South Abington Township, Chapman Supply. Great people. And you can tell they're good at what they do because they're in business 75 years. How good is that? Somebody says, Bob, what do you think about your buddy's opinion? There really is nothing I disagreed with him on. And I told you this before, and many of you disagreed. I still like Matt Cartwright. I still like Bob Casey. I still like a lot of people that are Democrats that I disagree with, and I don't even have a clue where their opinions come from. I do. They come from emotion, not from fact, truth, and reality. But I always say this: don't talk about politics with them. Once you get a couple of warning signals, don't talk politics anymore because it's useless. You're not going to convince them, and we're the cure for idiocy. But if they're not listening to this show, they don't even have a chance to get reformed. So, no, I don't disagree with his opinion at all. And the main thing he's saying, which is critically important, for the country to survive today's current political differences, we can't be hating on people, especially people you're friendly with or who are family members, just because you disagree with them. You're right, by the way. That's a separate issue. You're completely correct if you're conservative. Fact, truth, reality, history all bear that out. But that doesn't mean you cut him off or anything like that. That's what he was talking about. You just don't talk politics with him. Just avoid it. Joe from Edwardsville says, Bob, your market report just said the big oil companies are sharing windfall profits from the rise in crude prices as dividends to shareholders. Don't you think that would be done also with windfall profits made on natural gas and water usage when data centers come to town? This is my biggest issue. I'm not opposed to the data centers themselves. I don't want my utility bills to go up to pay dividends to shareholders. Well, I'm 100% in agreement with you. That's why the projects have to be verified to provide their own water and electricity. That's why they have to be. In addition to not impinging or infringing on neighborhoods. And then there could be projects that work. Do I think it's the highest and best use of the land? Well, it's not my land, so I don't have the right to say. It is in an industrial zone? Yeah, well, then I have nothing to say. But what I do have to say is exactly what you touched on. Don't raise my electricity and don't raise my water rates. But if the project is properly vetted, it will not. I mean, but again, perfect example. A lot of the same people talking about fracking and their wells are 150 feet deep and they're saying it destroyed their well. Well, fracking is thousands of feet deep. It didn't. So, and you got to remember, some of the people, whether it's Chris Kelly from the Scranton Times or Billy Gahn, they're mentally ill. They truly are. And they lie with virtually every statement they make. You cannot believe them about data centers. You just can't. Anyway, he's been very patient with us. He's even called back, and he does have a theme song. Bad Moon Rising. That means it's Larry from Plymouth. How are you, Larry?
Well, Bob, I think I told you this before. Thomas Jefferson, my only fear is that I may live too long.
Did he say that? I
Yes,
didn't know that
yes,
was him.
he did, and he
Okay.
lived to be 80. So I don't know how long he figured long was.
Yeah, well, back then I guess that was.
But Bob, I found out the other day. I missed our 60th class reunion, and from Plymouth High School, and then I saw in the paper, Bob, they're planning for the 80th. we'll be 98 years old. What'll be there? Two people.
Well, why don't they have it 60? How did you miss this reunion, Larry?
I don't. Well, I did see it a while ago that they were supposed to have something in October, and here I read it, and they had it in July out at the Grotto at Harvey's Lake. So but they're supposed to have something in September in Plymouth, the 18th. So I'm going to try. I will get there if I could get there.
Yeah, you bring a little color to the program.
Yeah, because they said they already got 39 people lined up, and that's pretty much.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Bob, I want to talk about war movies. I don't know if you ever saw this. It's called Battleground.
No.
1949, Bob. It was with James Whitmore, Van Johnson, George Murphy, Ricardo Montalban. And it's a real good movie. It's about the Battle of the Bulge, and it's about where our troops were surrounded by the Germans in Bastogne. And I think that's Belgium, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so they were surrounded. And then at the end, it was really bad. They were getting, hit by everything. But the fog finally cleared, and our planes were able to get through. It's a real good movie. I must have seen it 20 times or more. But another thing, I saw the movie Ike. And Bob, I watched that for at least 15 to 20 minutes before I realized it was Tom Selleck.
Selleck played Ike?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm thinking, boy, this guy looks familiar.
Did he shave his head and everything?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, somebody else had suggested they watch
I remember
Ike.
from his Quigley Down Under.
Wow. I love Selleck. He's a great guy.
Him
Conservative in
and,
Hollywood.
Sam Elliott. I love the movies.
I love
there.
Elliott. Yeah, from him
Yeah.
too.
But Bob, there was another guy who played Ike, Bob. This was back, I don't know, it might have been in the 70s or whatever on TV. And it was, I don't know if it was called Ike, but who played it was Robert Duvall.
Now I could see him doing it.
Yeah, he played it good. And you know what it was about?
You don't remember the name of the movie, though?
I think it was Ike, but do you know who his driver was, Bob?
Ike's driver?
Yeah, when he was in Europe.
No.
Kay Summersby.
Well, I thought that
and
was.
there was a lot
was
of
his
talk
assistant.
that they were having an affair.
Oh no, I'm familiar with her. I thought she was his assistant, not driver.
No, she was his driver too.
Okay.
Maybe assistant, but she was his driver.
Okay. Yeah,
but
she's played. That's
a real good one. You could probably bring that up on there if you go on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to look through Robert Duvall's bibliography, and you'll find it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, he played in so many darn good movies. I mean, him and. But it was really good. And I was watching some Elvis movies on the weekend. They had. Did you ever see Kid Galahad?
No.
Oh my God, he plays a fighter, Kid Galahad. It was Charles Bronson was in it. And,
I just laugh when I think of Elvis.
And Bob, he's getting hit, and I think it was Charles Bronson yells in. He says, "Hey, it's not against the rules to duck." But Elvis, I don't know. Last week, somebody called Sue Henry, and she said that Elvis stunk. I couldn't believe that.
Oh,
I mean, he was great.
Her Trump derangement syndrome is affecting other areas.
I guess because I liked Elvis. Oh my God,
and great guy and a hero, actual hero for serving as he did and being
Bob,
patriotic.
Bob, I said he paid for a lot of the Arizona Memorial.
Did he really? I did
not
know
Yes, he did. He paid for a lot of that.
Neat.
He was a real American.
I agree.
And another guy who was a real American, I remember when John Wayne died.
Mm-hmm.
Well, him and Maureen O'Hara, they played in a lot of movies together. She went in front of Congress, and she said she wants them to make a medal of John Wayne. And she said, all I want on it is 3 words, John Wayne American. And they did.
Nice.
Yeah. So
he's got a
that's
great
what
thing on patriotism. He's got a great statements on religion.
Yeah.
Good man. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So that's it for me today, Bob.
All right. Well, Larry, I'm telling you, you didn't go off the rails once. I can't thank you enough. All right, buddy. Thank you.
Well, I haven't seen anything. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not satisfied with Trump, though. He got to finish that thing.
He's got to finish it. I'm not satisfied with the performance. I agree.
Yep. So,
I'm satisfied 1,000% with what he's doing. How he's proceeding is I'm
right,
I'm
and the border and everything. I love it.
Yep.
You know.
All right, man. Thank you.
Oh.
10:47 on my Picardo's watch this August 17th. We'll be back on the Bob Cordaro Show. This date, 1968, Murph tells us. The Rascals, they moved from number 5 to number 1 with their hit, People Got to Be Free. And, of course, before that, Reform Party. They announced Ross Perot, their first ever presidential nominee. This date, 1996. You remember, he helped bring us Bill Clinton, which was not that wasn't the best of things back in 1992 with the votes he siphoned off from George Bush. But then he ran again in 96. We forget that. And helped make it easier for Clinton to win in 96. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. Let's go right to Mother Teresa, St. Teresa, for August 17. She says, stay where you are. Find your own Calcutta. Find the sick, the suffering, and the lonely right where you are. In your own homes and in your own families, in your own workplaces, and in your schools. She always said, start with your own home and go from there. The great St. Teresa, Mother Teresa, for today. Thank you, Mary Regina. Let's go right to the blower. We got Kevin from Duryea. He's been patient. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Mr. Cordaro. Russ Perot was, he screwed that up in 92. 96, Dole was kind of a weak guy,
He wasn't a great candidate, but he was a great man, but not a great candidate. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a war hero and everything like that. Thanks for taking my call. You know what? You were duly elected, right, as county commissioner?
Mm-hmm.
And were you reelected? Because I just didn't have the time to do the research.
I won as a minority commissioner. My running mate lost in 2000. They pulled out an old scandal and ruined him, that we wouldn't win. But then in 2003, A.J. Munchak and I won. Then we lost.
Okay, because I remember watching you on television, and you were in the commissioner's chair, so you were in the majority and stuff. Just explain to me the science of politics. What in God's name, this is my question to you. How in God's name does Marty Flynn, and I call him Jimmy No Game Haddock, how do they make my life or everybody in this community better?
Well, I've got nothing. I have very little positive to say about Haddock. Marty Flynn, I know he delivers for constituents. I will say, and it's
okay.
He just does. And I disagree with him on a lot of political things. But also, once in a while, he won't go with the orthodoxy of the lunatic left that is the Democrat Party in Harrisburg.
But why? I looked it up, and Nebraska has what the heck do they do down there?
Well, we have the biggest legislature in the country.
No, I think it's, second. I don't know. Maybe.
I think it's the biggest, but it's too many.
That's a trophy I'm not going to accept. But why in God's name do we keep repeating ourselves and repeating ourselves and repeating ourselves? I don't need a state rep. I really don't.
I think you do, but I don't think you need them to represent that small of an area. We don't need as many as we have. We need half of what we have.
Well, it's 200 and something.
Yeah, 200.
But it's ridiculous.
We should have about 100 state reps. Yep.
But Nebraska, I went through Nebraska a couple of times in my life. But it's ridiculous. It's just waste after waste after waste.
I know it.
And then it's pension after pension. Mr. James, No Game Haddock, your buddy. I keep calling because I'm busting you. But,
I know.
He's got 2 pensions already, one from the Turnpike, one from the county, and now what? One from the state.
Another one
God
of them.
almighty.
They fixed they're on fixed income, but they fixed it really good. Kevin, we
Okay,
gotta go because it's 11:01 on my Picardo's
okay.
watch, man.
Thank you
All
for
right,
taking
brother.
my call, Mr. Cordaro.
Always
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. Thank you. Hey, 11:01 it says on my Picardo's watch, and don't forget, I've got a Picardo's watch. That's what it says. And I said, from the Jersey Shore to wherever I go, everybody says, what time is it on your Picardo's watch? Well, I've got a Picardo's watch, but they sell Raymond Wild, Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Ball watches, Tory Burch, Victorinox, Bulova, G-Shock, and more. That's our friends at Picardo's, and it is the top jewelry store in Northeast Pennsylvania. So, and they're and upcoming, and I'll have Alex Picardo on to talk about it. They're going to have their fancy car show right at Picardo's coming up, and we'll talk about it. We'll be back. You know it. Great good morning, everyone. 11:07 a.m. on my Picardo Jewelers watch. This beautiful Monday, August 17, year of our Lord 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga, well, Eastern Roofing Systems. He's got a lot of companies. The brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John. Like Asa Scott Einan, Connie Minzola Hazelton, and Michael Anthony Scranton. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense after that brief news adjournment, promising that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. And we remind you, the Bob Cordaro Show has been proven to be a cure for idiocy. It has. It works. Try it. Try it for 2 weeks. You'll get your money back if you don't lose that idiocy. Somebody asking, what was the name of the movie Larry suggested? Battleground is what I remember it to be. Battleground. Larry's movie suggestions, along with our man Rick Bigelow, are always outstanding. And there was something, I'm going to ask Rick Bigelow to maybe do a brief summary of this. But the beginning of the movie Pressure, it shows a bunch of soldiers like floating in their own blood on some sort of ocean, or some body of water. And it turns out, and Rick tells me and reminds me, I knew it was about a practice because they referred to it later. It was a shocking thing for Ike. And I wanted to know more about it. But Rick helpfully provides the beach assault scene at the beginning of the movie was something called Operation Tiger, a practice landing at Slapton Sands on the southern coast of England. They were practicing for D-Day, and it was a disaster. There were about 700 killed in action, Rick tells us, at that practice landing. Some from friendly fire, but most from torpedoes from a German PT boat that sank an LST. This was a classic case of what can go wrong will go wrong. And it was not made known to the American public until many years after the war. Thousands of Americans were killed, obviously, in other situations like this. Practice airborne jumps, vehicle accidents, aircraft accidents, maritime accidents in the 2 years prior to D-Day. So I'm gonna tell Rick now, could we do a brief presentation on this? Because I'd never known about it until until that movie, until I watched Pressure. Yeah. Well, we'll see what he says. It was really fascinating. And Rick's always on top of these things. My man John, he emails in, good morning, Bob. For you, Larry, and your listeners, John Wayne converted to Catholicism shortly before his death. And he sends in something from Google. Yes, actor John Wayne converted to Roman Catholicism shortly before he died of stomach cancer, June 11th, 1979, at the age of 72. Family members, including his son Patrick and his grandson Father Matthew Munoz, a Catholic priest, confirmed that Wayne formally entered the church in his final days at home in Los Angeles. Well, that's great to know. Thank you, John. I appreciate that very much. Yeah. By the way, my man Frank, he had emailed me in and asked him, why didn't Matt Cartwright run? He didn't lose by much. Well, my response was this. Paige Cognetti checks all the box for the new left-wing lunatic Democrat Party on all the issues, whether it's mutilating children, open border, just name it. She's in. She's a wannabe squad member. And Cartwright, for as bad as he got as a left-winger and as lunatic as he went as a congressman following Democrat Party leadership, she's worse. And the Soros people and all that left-wing lunatic money designed to destroy America is behind Paige Cognetti in a way they would not have supported Matt Cartwright. So that's why she's the candidate, because she is trustable lunatic and America hating. They could trust her. They couldn't trust Cartwright all the way. So that's the bottom line why he didn't run again. All right, we got calls we got to get to. Let's do it. Who's on longer? Jack from Scranton. Jack, how are you?
Good. How you doing? Now, listen, if I was a Republican strategist, I would tell the Republican Party to put on a couple of videos of all these Democrats that are coming over the country and assaulting people and murdering people, saying before you go into the booth, think about the people that were murdered, think about the people that were raped and sodomized, and this could even happen to you. And if you went to another country, you see some of those people. They're going over there, they're doing a minor crime, and they're coming back like a vegetable. They ruin their life. They send them over like a shell.
Jack, do you
know what
think,
I mean?
though, people that are voting for Democrats like Al Sayed in Michigan, do you think they're actually thinking? You know, I don't say this.
Robots.
They're not thinking. They're not thinking through anything. They're insane. They need help, some of them.
Yeah, but see, the thing of it is, if it happened to their family, their uncles, their aunts, their sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, it would be a different story. It didn't happen to them.
I have totally normal people that I know talking about ICE, and as if they know what they're talking about. It's like, it's stunning. It is absolutely stunning.
You know what I noticed in the last couple of years? When you go to the doctor, it takes weeks and weeks to get there because I think all the illegal aliens get all those, they get all the perks, They get to go to see the doctors, and they're ruining our health care.
No,
that's what I think, anyway.
That's why I played Brendan Gilt. They're affecting, like, housing prices. Just for example, you can't let 20 million people into the country and expect housing prices to go down. Look at New York City. This disgusting clown mayor, Mamdani, rents have gone up dramatically in New York City since he's gotten in office. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They do the exact opposite.
And then they have these sanctuary cities where they're protecting these people. How about us? It seems like the American people, like remember we the people of the United States anymore. When Biden was in, it was we the illegal aliens of everybody in the world.
We're last.
We the scumbags.
We're last.
Yeah, we're last.
Yep.
We're losing our rights.
And I don't want anything from government. I just don't want them to screw up the country. I don't want anything from government.
See, the thing of it is, if you got attacked by somebody who tried to shoot you and you shot them, you'd be the one on trial.
I know. We're in upside down world with the Democrat Party. Or they're in upside down world. Yep.
You know what? They're imbeciles. Imbeciles.
All right, man.
That's all I can tell you.
Well, and we'll talk about cherry pie with them. We'll still be nice.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll see you. Take it easy.
Thanks, Jack. John from DuPont. Hey, John, how are you?
Pretty good. I solved the problem of the lettuce. Now I've been watching, and these people they're dressed up like astronauts. I mean, huge gloves. They have like this apron that covers everything. Their pant legs are taped onto their shoes and that. They have big masks. They have things over their head. So I kind of believe that they're not defecating on this stuff because there's also a big machine there where they're chopping the lettuce and they're throwing it on like a conveyor belt, maybe 20 of them at a time, and they're going down the road. So then, plus I read an article or two. Do you remember this? Well, it's sort of been a like an urban myth or an urban story for years and years, tons of years, that if you go to Mexico, don't drink the water because you'll get that Montezuma's revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Then I put that together with the fact that this this farm or whatever is in Mexico, and they use Mexican water to grow the lettuce, to wash the
And
lettuce.
could it be the water? Yeah.
It most likely is, unless for some reason they decided to just purify the water for the lettuce, which seems insane, and not for the people.
Yeah.
And so I think that's got to be another thing. Is the war? I kind of, I hear these stories about, oh, well, they killed 30,000 of their own people. Well, we got Fauci who killed 2 million here in the United States. I mean, don't be throwing rocks if you got a totally glass house there. But another thing, it seems, when I heard about the aircraft carrier, and I think, well, geez, that's a shame. We're America, a big country. Plus, but anyway, they couldn't go to ports because Iran wouldn't allow us to go to any ports over there to resupply the ship. Can you imagine that? And one more thing with the so I figured out why Trump's been afraid.
And that's the USS Lincoln, right?
Yeah. But I figured out why Trump's been afraid to finish this war. I don't know if you remember, but not long ago, a week or two ago, when we were bombing away, there was a couple of cities, I think up around Michigan or something, a couple of cities that their water, the water grid or whatever, the computer services that regulate all that, well, they were down. And they said that it was Iran that did it. They suspected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty far out there to just suspect them out of the blue. So they must know that they did it. So I'm thinking they've been holding it over Trump's head that if he screws around too much, they're going to get the whole power grid and everything because I think they have access to it. Maybe Trump's been building up defenses to it for now, but it seems awfully weird.
We're looking for logical reasons why he's doing stop, start, stop, start.
Yeah.
I actually think that he knows that he's responsible for the lives that are taken, and I think his compassion's getting in the way of finishing the job. That's what
Well, like I said, they said, oh, they 30,000 of their own people.
Numbers are as high as 60,000, John.
Yeah, and how many did Fauci kill? And one more thing, is the him hopping into a ice cream truck or something or whatever he did to get off the plane and not get shot. He left the news people there to get bombed or whatever if they happen to go for that. But how embarrassing is it for the leader of the free world?
Well, the Secret Service runs that. The Secret Service runs that show, and they're overly cautious sometimes, but it works.
Maybe he needs somebody else in charge of the Secret Service that doesn't make him look like he's working with.
And it's funny, John. I didn't see any of that. I'm going to have to look that up, but I haven't seen much on it.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah.
They've shown him going in and out, but he looks like he's a spy for Maxwell Smart for control and sneaking into a catering truck. The president. It's pathetic.
John, we got to go. I appreciate it, my brother. Thank you.
Right.
11:22 on my Picardo's watch, so we're about 4 minutes behind. But always love to hear from our man, John. Let's take this break. We'll hear from our great sponsors, a little history, a little music, and then you at 570-883-0098. This date, 1968, Murph tells us Cream with Eric Clapton moved up to number 8 with their hit Sunshine of Your Love. And before that, 1998, this date, Bill Clinton gave grand jury testimony. The famous quote, "It depends on what the meaning of is." It's a funny thing. I just thought he was a lovable liar. Like Hillary Clinton, I couldn't, there was no human being inside. Bill Clinton, and I only met him once through our friend Jamie Brazil, I thought was a real person. And I think he was really trying to do the right thing, even though he often did the wrong thing. But that's a different Democrat, not the Democrats of today, the disgraceful Democrats of today. Yeah. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. All right, so again, back on Larry's movie, it was called Battleground. Somebody says, Bob, old Hollywood would be ashamed of today's actors who have turned against this country. I'm sure people like John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, Betty Davis, and any more would hate what Hollywood has become. Just a thought, LTS. I'm back at you, LTS. I agree. Joe from Trips Park, LTS. Where are all the green energy leftists we saw 3 years ago? One Tennessee data center uses enough electricity to power 150,000 homes or charge 450,000 electric vehicles for 100,000 miles. Why are they suddenly ignoring this? Are they getting paid too much? Chuck from Carville says, boss, I just wanted to let you know that your favorite Star Trek episode was on this past Saturday night on MeTV, where Captain Kirk reads the U.S. Constitution. Great show. Well, Chuck, I love that. I don't know if it's my favorite episode, but it is one of the best. Somebody texts in, you mean ICE killing Americans? Well, you're a lying bullspitter. You're a lying bullspitter. Wake up. Wake up. Really? God almighty. Unbelievable. All right, let's go to Fred from Pittston. He's been patient. How are you, Fred?
How you doing, Bob? You were talking about in the beginning of your show about this offer that you watched over the weekend.
Yes.
And I read a little bit. Al Pacino and Copley, I didn't think much of it. It wasn't their cup of tea. How can I say? What'd you think?
I loved it. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I don't know how historically accurate it was because it left out Russell Buffalino, who had a big part in it, but it was outstanding.
Yeah, you didn't mention his name, but you meant something about being stupid or something like that. You mentioned the name stupid.
I don't know. There's a lot of people we talk about that are, but I don't recall it specifically.
Okay, I thought you called him stupid.
Who? Who?
Russell Buffalino. I thought you called him stupid.
No. I wouldn't even. Okay. He's gone 30 years. I wouldn't call him that now.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was in the other room. I heard some...
Fred, I might have said that he wasn't a dummy, but no. That's the last thing.
His part in the that one movie, what was it just called? That didn't
Irishman.
make it with
The Irishman.
Yeah. Now, his part was there was a guy from Jersey actually was gonna try to get that, and they didn't want to be away because he wasn't popular. Because he looked like him a lot, and he was from Jersey, but it didn't work out because he wasn't famous. How can I say?
Well, from what I understand, Pesci pulled it off really well. From what people who knew Buffalino say, but I don't know that. But I've had several tell me that.
Yeah. I guess you know what I mean. I just saying. I thought it was horrible. If you ask me.
What, The Offer?
No,
The Irishman. Well, you know what? It was different, Fred. It was different because it wasn't showing the glamour side and how in Goodfellas, like when Scorsese normally does a movie, they have great music showing the scenery and everything.
Yeah, to make it short with me,
But the mob life was horribly
their
boring.
language wasn't like that. In real life, they had a lot of respect when they talked to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The cursing was really over the, it was sloppy.
Okay. Well, we got to remember, De Niro was behind the project, so you knew he'd screw it up some way.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. All right, Fred. Thank you. Hey,
right,
we got to go for the moment. It's 11:32 on my Bacardo's watch, 11:32 and change. So let's take this break. We'll come back with the Veterans Tribute. We have a little something, the weather, and a little something after that. And then we've got Wayne from Einan regarding the USS Lincoln, which I have just tasked, so you guys know, I've just tasked our man, John Perillo, because he's a Navy veteran. He's a Navy Academy guy, about what it's like to be on a ship and a long deployment. So we're going to talk about that next Monday and really get under the hood. We'll take a break and be back. Our Veterans Tribute brought to you, as always, by our man, John Basiliga. And on Mondays, we feature Eastern Roofing Systems, his first company and his biggest company. International headquarters in Jessup, PA. But they've got big hubs in Baltimore, Maryland, and Columbia, South Carolina. They are the premier roofing contractor in the eastern United States. But they bring all that expertise and all that buying power right here to your project in Northeast Pennsylvania, whether it's a 1 million square foot building or your home. That's Eastern Roofing Systems of Jessup. Michael Anthony. We lost him August 1st at a far too young age of 68. Born in the city, a graduate of the great Scranton Technical High School. He served all of us in the U.S. Army for 10 years, working in wire-guided missile systems. He attended Redstone Arsenal Federal Research Center before his honorable discharge from service. He studied at Temple and Marywood. He spent time in law enforcement, then became a truck driver and owner-operator of his own trucking company. Michael will be remembered in countless ways. He had the best sense of humor, laugh, and the kindest heart. He also loved ham radio and never passed up the opportunity to go fishing, have a cup of coffee, show his love of animals, listen to weather reports on his handheld radio, research anything about science, especially aliens, and spend time with friends, always taking the time to check on them. Mike will be adored above all by his family, who will forever miss him. He's survived by that loving family, including his beloved wife of 48 years, Un Anthony, his children, his grandchildren, 4 of them, and 1 great-grandchild, as well as other family members. Michael Anthony, our veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain Resort, whose water park is in full swing, and it's another great water park week. Take your kids, take your grandkids, take your nieces and nephews. Let's just get up there and enjoy it and relax. And they've got a great arcade set up in the lodge, so there's things to do when you don't want to be in the sun. Today, mostly cloudy and warmer, thunder shower in parts of the area. High 83. Tonight, fog late, low 65. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, less humid, high 85, low 59. Wednesday, humid with sun, followed by some clouds, but it'll be 85 degrees with a low of 63. Thursday, sun and some clouds, possible thunder shower, 80 degrees with a low of 56 Thursday. And then Friday, another great day, pleasant with intervals of clouds and sunshine, 82 degrees, low 59. And that's your weather, brought to you by the place that's synonymous with weather. That is Montage Mountain, where it's 76 degrees right now. Steppenwolf, born to be wild on the Ed Sullivan Show, Murph tells us. This date, 1969. And when we think born to be wild, we think of Wayne from Einen. In fact, we'll have to make that your theme song, Wayne.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
By the way, did you note that the last veteran, another veteran from Scranton Tech? Wow,
Yep.
that's why I always say the great Scranton Tech.
No, thank you for that, Bobby. Thank you. Okay, and LTS with the show there, buddy.
Thank you, man. LTS back
I
at you.
hope you left your gavel home over the weekend.
No, I leave it at the office. I leave it at the office.
Good job. I'm sure Cutie likes that.
Yeah, I don't want to be banging the gavel all weekend. No.
Okay, here's that song was appropriate. Okay, if you want adventure, you join the Navy, you get adventure. Okay, and I understand what long deployments are like. Okay, when I was in Vietnam, they extended me 4 more months.
Oh.
Okay, along with a bunch of other guys. Okay, and we didn't exactly get let's put it this way, catered food. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We had if we got food twice a week dropped into us, we were lucky. Rest of the time we're on K rations. So I don't know what to say. I find that.
Yeah, I think it's overblown. That's why I'm going to have John Perillo look into it, because he's done ship deployments. And ship deployments, being truthful, they're a little different, extended shift deployment than on the ground. But nevertheless, you get dispirited quite often, especially if it extends.
Sure you do.
Gosh, what are they, 263 days? Like longer than the Biden banner's been up, you know?
Yeah. But I understand what they're talking about, long deployments, but what they're having out there is a picnic compared to we had.
That's true.
And you have a lead flying by almost every day.
Yeah.
It's a picnic. I'm sorry.
That I get. Yeah, being deployed in Vietnam, a little different than being on the Abraham Lincoln.
Out in the ocean. I mean, on that deck they play soccer, they play baseball, they play volleyball. We didn't have any of that, buddy. I'm telling you.
Well, my friend Jack Early, an old Navy man, he used to say, I joined the Navy, he says, clean sheets, hot food.
Yep, you got it. That guy. We had hot food dropped in. It was maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. That was about it, Bob.
Yeah.
Rest of the time, you ate out of a little box.
It ain't, that's what I'm saying. It's you've got civilians who never practiced or even explored what military people go through during deployments, commenting on this as if they know what the hell they're talking about. They don't. They don't.
They don't. They have no clue.
And by the way, if you're not in the Army or the Navy or the Air Force, you're not bitching. Come on. You're bitching if you're in,
Yeah, you're bitching. I'm sorry. You joined it. You're in it. Now you got your exactly what the song says. You got your excitement. Okay, there you go.
But I mean, you are guys and gals bitch about their conditions, and in many cases, rightfully so. But it's not much different than it's always been. I don't think there's any supreme suffering happening on that ship.
I don't think so either. Like I said, you have a whole deck there when it's quiet and everything. They go out and play volleyball.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, there's entertainment there. They even have a little movie theater in them. Yeah. For God's sakes. Yeah. I understand long deployments. I do. When I was in Vietnam, they told me I got to stay another 4 months or 5 months. That wasn't the most exciting thing in my life. I wanted to hear at that point.
Yeah.
But many other people had that happen to them too, Bobby.
Yep.
If you had a critical MOS, in Vietnam, you were just about guaranteed of being extended.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a critical MOS with helicopters and all the electronics on them and everything. That's why they stuck me there for another 4 months.
Yeah.
Then when I came home, after being in Germany and everything else, they put me in the 365th Army Reserve Center.
Oh, we cut off for some reason there. He still shows that he's on, but we've got to take a break anyway. Wayne, thank you for the call, my brother. 11:47 now on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. We'll be right back. Hey, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm excited. We're going to start having the Weekend Warrior and the Pie Man Cometh and Chet Parlavecchio. Football season's upon us. I'm scared to say it. But the thing that brought it to my mind, I forgot. I'm an old Oakland Raiders fan. Going back to the days in Oakland. They're Vegas now. And they got their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, out of the champion Indiana Hoosiers. And I might get excited about football. A rookie quarterback can't change things around that quickly. But still, that's something to look forward to as a Raiders fan. So we'll see. Anyway, I wanted to get to Fauci. Now, he was suggested for contempt with his 111 Fifth Amendment declinations during his testimony. And this is the guy you couldn't stop him from talking. He was as bad or worse than Trump. You couldn't shut him up. And they found more texts that exposed this scumbag. And David Harris, who I follow on David Harris Jr., who I follow on Instagram. And I had it printed out. The Bulldog printed it for me. It says, you know who didn't get to plead the fifth? Anthony Fauci. The nursing home residents who died alone. The workers who lost their jobs for refusing the jab. The small business owners who lost everything. The Beagles who suffered in silence. They didn't get a choice. They didn't get a microphone. They didn't get a way out. Scumbag Anthony Fauci. And by the way, you want to know about your governor? If he gives a spit about you? I saw this on a post on Instagram by Rachel Lynn, 1776. He says, Donald Trump and RFK Jr. are sowing chaos and screwing around with childhood vaccine schedule. Yeah, they don't want kids taking 1,000 vaccines because the drug companies want it. Well, Fauci, or rather this clown Shapiro, who aided Fauci in the destruction of this state during the COVID crisis. Shapiro was the AG. Remember that? He enforced everything that lunatic Wolf put in place. So he's ignoring Trump's RFK, and he wants to continue with millions of shots for children. That's Josh Shapiro, and he's taken millions from drug companies and people who work for them. Just remember Josh Shapiro. Hey, we're finishing with a show that our man Larry from Plymouth bought to us a while ago, and I do love it. It's powerful. This date, 2016, Disturbed. They had the number 7 hit with The Sound of Silence. Well, thanks to Roach Supply, bringing us the live stream on YouTube. Honesdale and South Abington Township under the name of Chapman Supply, their sister company. ROCHE, RoachSupply.com, the best bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast PA. They're great. Somebody says, I wonder if all the false alarms that Trump has caused unrest on the Lincoln, as well as others deployed to Iran. If the president has a strategy, I don't understand it, says William LTS. He does. Unfortunately, he talks too much. Trump talks too much. It's part of what you get, unfortunately. But look at, if you took every military person who bitched about something during their deployment and service, you wouldn't be able to run the damn military. And I get it. It's unusual. It's longer than ever. But we're in a conflict that has to be addressed. And if you don't think it's a good thing to severely limit Iran's nuclear and military ambitions in the Middle East, well, you're not following history, facts, or logic. Sorry. All right. Sweet Panda, my Bacarda's watch is heading up to noon, which means I got to go. The Sue Henry Show next. The Rob O'Donnell Show after that. But for now, we've got to say adios by gaveling to a close today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow. We are adjourned.